Hey guys, Tim here with TimKippTutorials.com, and today we're going to be doing part 2 of our user-based community site tutorial series, and we're going to be building the registration form and registration scripts today. So if you're following along in part 1, we should have a header page, index page, and a footer page, and then you also got the connect page and the template file that you downloaded. So first thing we're going to do is we need to create some folders. So in your site folder, we need to create an images folder that we'll be using later on in the series, and the users folder. Next thing we're going to do is, since we're going to be creating the registration form, we need a place in the database to put our users. So we need to go over to the member site which we created, and we're going to create a new table called users. And it's going to have 9 fields. The first field is going to be ID, integer of 11. That would just be our automatic increment and primary key. So make sure you check those two. Next field is going to be first name, and we're going to give it a type of varchar, and we're going to give it a length of 50. Next one is going to be last name, varchar length of 100, just in case people have long last names. You can change it to whatever you'd like. Next one is email. I'm going to do varchar 255. Username is going to be a varchar of 15. And password, we're going to set to a varchar of 32, since we're going to be encrypting our passwords using MD5 hash, be a 32 character encryption. Next one's going to be activation code, and it's going to be a varchar of 32 as well. And then next one is going to be activated, which will determine if the user has activated their account or not. It's going to be an enum field, and length we're going to give it 0 and 1, separated by comma, just like that, and the default you're going to set as defined equal to 0. And the next one we're just going to put is date activated as date time, and we're going to scroll over and we're going to make sure we check null, because we're not going to be setting this value right away. So null, go down and hit save, and you should get member site users table has been created. So now that we have that, we're going to create some links up here so that we can navigate to our registration page and our index page. So in our header.php tag or file, right below the template, we're going to create a new div. We're going to say div ID equals navigation. Close off the div. Make sure this is an equal sign. And inside, we're going to put two links. First one is going to be index.php. We'll say index for the title, and it's going to separate them with a slash. And the next one is going to be registration.php, which we'll create in just a second. I'm going to go save that, and go over to our page and refresh, and you notice they show up at top. Right here, we're going to give them a little bit more style look real quick. So we're going to go over into our text editor, and we're going to go to open, and in our CSS folder we're going to click custom. Now it should be empty right now, and I've already typed it up, so I'm going to paste it and go through it. Basically we have navigation, which was locating our div of navigation right here, and it's going to give it padding of 10, padding to the left of 20 pixels, a border at the top and the border at the bottom, and overall text color of black. And the navigation links itself will have a color of dark gray, and font weight of bold, and then when we hover over it, it's going to be the green color of the background. So we're going to go ahead and save that, go refresh, and there you go. Should look like that. So we have index and registration. So I guess the next thing we need to do is create registration.php. So we're going to go over here, create a new file. It's going to save it as registration. Make sure you're in your root directory. Registration.php. And to get your header and all that, just go over to your index page. We're going to copy this right here and just paste it in. So that way we get the page title and all that stuff. We're just going to put registration page. And I'm just going to knock this out for now. Go ahead and save it. Go over to here and click register. And you should have an empty page at registration.php. Go back to your index, and there you go. Second page has been created. So we're going to go back over here to registration.php. And inside here I've already typed up the form and all that stuff, so I'm just going to copy and paste it in there. And I'm going to go over it in just 1 second. So I pasted it in, I'll save it, I'll show you what it looks like. For now, it just says register account below, first name, last name, email, verify email, username, password, register an account. And then over here it has a couple messages, congratulations message and a sorry message. So don't worry about these two for the time being. Let me go explain the code. Basically, I put a div with a float to the left and center. Basically, I'm floating the div to the left so I can these two divs right here will show up next to it, and then the bottom div is just a empty div with a clear of both floats, so that way it's not sinking into the bottom there like it normally will. So in our table here, I've just named an ID of registration. First field, I just have a row with the first name. Input of text, size of 30, first name for the name, and ID is first name as well. Pretty much I do that down the list. For last name is the same size 30, last name and last name. Email is email. Verify is verify email, and verify email for the ID. Username, the max, I put a max length here of 15 because that's what we're allowing in our database, is 15, with the name and ID of username. Password is type password instead of text, size of 30, name of password, ID of password. And then in the last row, I'm just making sure this cell expands over 2 columns, aligning it to the right. And right here is just an empty span, which we'll be using later on. It's given when we're processing our form. Call it reg underscore span. It has a padding right of 10 pixels. And then it also has a button right here with a name of reg submit, which is register submit, ID of register submit, and then inside the button tags we have register your account. And then underneath that registration div, we have just 2 messages. One's called with an ID of reg success, classes of hidden, which I will go ahead and add the styling for the registration table and these 2 hidden divs in just a second. One just says congratulations, your account has been successfully registered, email has been sent to your account. So yeah, that's where that's going to show up if your account's been successfully registered, and the other one's only going to show up when something went wrong during the registration. So I hope those 2 make sense. I'm going to go ahead and add the styling in for those in just a second. So if we go over here to our custom.css page, and at the bottom, we're just going to paste in this, and I'll go through it. Basically, we have our hidden class right here, which will set it to display of none. For the input, I'm just setting up a couple things. For the input types of submit, and input types of buttons, and also the button element itself, if they're giving a padding of 4. And then the registration table, and then each cell in the registration table has a padding of 4 with text aligned to right. So if I save this, go ahead and refresh our page, you'll see that the text over here disappeared and our table has a little bit of padding and it looks a little bit better. And now that we have our form for registering, we need to somehow handle the registration. So we're going to be using jQuery to process the form, and then we're going to be using Ajax and the jQuery post method to send out calls to an external PHP file located within our scripts folder, and it will process the information and determine if we're registering successfully. We'll email out the activation accounts and all that stuff. So what we need to do is we're going to create a new file, and we're going to save it in our scripts folder as parse_registration.php. And I have a lot of code here, so I'm just going to, instead of typing it all out in front of you guys and boring you, I'm just going to paste it in and explain it. So it's quite long, it's 81 lines long, but I will explain it. The first thing we have up top here is our connection file, which we've included. That way we can access our database. This will make sense when we start our jQuery script file. Pretty much it's looking for if an action or a posted variable of action has been sent and it equals check, then it's going to run everything from here, oops, too far, down to here. So pretty much these 34 lines are going to be run. So if it is a method of check, which we're going to be using to check the username and password to see if they exist or not, or if an email is valid, we're going to capture the posted variable of email. We're going to filter it out using strip tags and MySQL real escape string on the posted variable of email and username. And this first section right here is checking if the email is valid or not. It's using the string position, so it's pretty much saying if the and character is found or is not found, or I'm sorry, if it is found, sorry, that's what this means. If it's not false, then it's going to go ahead and check to see if we're exploding the email that's sent in at the and character if it exists, and then we're using the string after the and character to see if there's a period. So it's pretty much if you're, oops, things are happening. So pretty much if your email looks like this, it will be filtering to see if it has the and symbol, and then it also split this string at the and symbol and check the end half to make sure it has at least one period. I mean, there's other ways you can filter out the email, but I'm just using this for method for now. So if there is not a period, it's going to equal false, and then it's going to echo out 3 and then exit the script. And the echoes of 3 will make sense in just a minute when we get to our jQuery. And if the email is valid, then we're going to continue the script and run this email query. So pretty much it's going to select the ID from the users table where the ID, or I'm sorry, where the email address is equal to the email that's being submitted in the form. We're going to limit 1. And if it comes back equaling 1, which means there was an email already used in the users table, it's going to say email exists, and it's going to echo 1 and exit the script. And if the email does not exist, it's going to continue on and check the username. So it's pretty much running the same process, selecting username from the users table where username is equal to the username variable brought in at the top here, limit of 1. And then it's going to check to see if the username exists. If it does, it's going to echo 2 and exit the script. If not, it's going to say everything is fine and it's going to only echo 0 and exit the script. So that's the checking action that's going to happen. So now when we go down here, we see if this is, oops, apparently a scroll is being retarded. And for now, it's going to look to see if the action exists again, but this time it's going to look for register. So that means it's going to register a user, it's going to select all the variables, first name, last name, email, username, and password. I'm going to filter those out. Right here we're creating a activation code variable, and all we're doing is we're taking the username supplied and the password supplied, and we're concatenating them together, and then we're running the MD5 hash function over it and encrypting those two together, so it's sort of like a encrypted username and password as our activation code. And then we're going to query it out, and we're going to say insert into users first name, last name, email, username, password, activation code with values equal to the first name right here, which is I'm using the UC first and the string to lower. Basically, what's happening is if someone enters Tim like this, it's going to filter it out and uppercase the first letter and lowercase the rest, so that way the first letter is always capitalized. Same thing if everything was capitalized like that, it would only do the first and then the rest would be like that. So that's what that means. We're doing that with the last name as well. And each of these fields that are going to be entered need to be separated by comma and surrounded by single quotes. If you have to concatenate variables outside of your parentheses or single quotes, make sure you're using double quotes and then concatenating with period and then ending it with a period and double quotes again. So like here's the email inside the single quotes, username, MD5 hashing the password, and then we're entering the activation code. And we're querying it out. If it's successful, we're going to grab the MySQL insert ID. So basically when this gets inserted, it generates the automatic increment ID that is associated with it, and we're going to store it in a new underscore user ID variable. And then we create a new users folder for the person, so it's going in to the users directory which we created right here. Then inside of it, oops, wrong place. And then inside of it we're creating a folder of the ID of the new user ID, and we're just setting the permissions equal to 0755, which allows us to upload images and stuff like that. We're also going to create an images folder and a media folder just in case we want to use those somewhere down the road. Just make it easier, we're just going to create them now. And right here is the email function. Basically our to variable is the person we're sending it to, so we want to get the email that was passed into the form. The from email would be your email at yoursite.com. You want to change that up. Subject, you can put whatever. Activate your account's what I chose for this demonstration. And the message right here, this does allow HTML. So right now I just have welcome to the site. I did the same thing, uppercase and lowercase to the first name. So if I entered, it would be welcome to the site Tim, and then below it says complete your account registration. You can read this if you want. The main thing you want to do is your activation code. We have a link here with yoursitehere.com, and then we're passing in an ID variable equal to the new user ID, and we're setting an activate equal to the activation code. So if you don't use anything else, make sure you're sending them the activation string ID equals new user ID and activate equals activation code. And then underneath I just have your account has been once your account's been activated, you can log in using the information below, and I'm just printing out the email that they specified and the password that they chose. And down here you want to make sure your headers are correct. MIME version of 1. Make sure your content type is text over HTML. If you want to pause the video at all to any time when you're copying in this code, feel free, but make sure you get text over HTML set so it allows HTML to process, and then from, and then your reply to, and then you have your mail function right here, your person you're sending it to, your subject, your message, and then the headers right here. And then we're going to echo 1, which means successful, and then exit the script, or else if for some reason the query has failed, it's going to exit the script and echo 0. So I will stop this part 2, and then part 3 we'll go over the jQuery that will process the form and do everything behind the scenes for us. So right now you should have created a registration page with your registration table, and you want to have these two divs set up as well if you're going to follow along completely. ID of reg success and reg failed. And I just added some style to the style sheet right here. And in our header page we have 2 links, index.php and registration.php. And then in our parse registration.php, feel free to copy this down or pause it and copy it, do whatever you need, but this is a script I'm going to be using off of, so if you're going to follow along exactly, I suggest you copy it exactly. So I'll see you in part 3, and I'll talk to you later.